I've had the privilege of working with extraordinary specialists over the course of my career. People who can walk into a room and within moments understand what they're looking at. They can identify a hand, a period, a subtle shift in quality. They know when something is right, and just as importantly, when something is not. It's a kind of knowledge that's built over decades, refined through exposure, repetition, and instinct. And yet, even at the highest levels of expertise, I've seen something unexpected happen. A specialist knows an object is valuable, but struggles to prove it. This is where the work becomes difficult because knowing and proving are not the same thing. Knowing something is valuable and proving it are two entirely different skills. One is internal, the other must be externalized. One is based on experience and connoisseurship, while the other must stand up to scrutiny. In appraisal, this distinction matters more than most people realize, because value is not simply observed, it's argued. There's a moment that happens in front of almost every object, a kind of recognition, a way it may not even be verbalized, but it's there. This is good, this is important, this is better than average. That moment is connoisseurship. It's the ability to see quality, to place something within a broader context of what exists, what has existed, and what has been seen before. It's not formulaic, and it's not easily taught. And it is, in many ways, the foundation of everything that follows. But it's not enough. Because at some point, that instinct has to be translated into a language, into a structure, into something that another person who may not share that same depth of experience can understand. And more importantly, accept. This is where justification comes in. Justification is not simply listing comparable sales. It's not pulling numbers from a database and arranging them in a report. It's the process of building an argument. Why this object? Why this quality? Why this market? Why this number? And why now? I've seen appraisals, often well-intentioned, where the conclusion is correct, but the support is thin. The numbers are what they are, but that isn't enough. Not for the client, not for an attorney, not for the IRS, and not for an insurance carrier. Because without explanation, a number is vulnerable. It can be questioned, challenged, and dismissed. This is where my role often sits. Not as the person who necessarily knows more about the object than the specialist in front of me, but as the person responsible for helping that knowledge hold up. To take what's known and make it defensible. In practice, this often looks like a conversation. A specialist may say, "This is a strong example," but I'll ask, compared to what? They may say, "The market supports this level." And I will ask, well, which segment of the market? Primary, secondary, retail, auction? Over what time frame? And what level of consistency? Because the goal is not to question the expertise, it's to clarify it. To shape it into something that can withstand scrutiny from someone who is not in the room and who does not have the same experience and who may be actively looking for reasons to disagree. This is particularly important in situations where the stakes are high: estate filings, insurance claims, donation appraisals. In these contexts, an unsupported conclusion is not just incomplete, it's risky. There's also a quieter layer to this, one that clients don't always see. Even without a single assignment, the level of justification can vary depending on the purpose. A fully developed appraisal report, complete with detailed analysis, comparable data, and written explanation, requires time, and that time has a cost. In other situations, a client may not need that level of documentation. They may be comfortable relying on the conclusion itself with the underlying support maintained in the appraiser's work file. The value may be the same, but the way it's communicated changes. Again, purpose before price. What I've come to understand is that connoisseurship without justification is incomplete, and justification without connoisseurship is hollow. You need to have both. This is not just a technical distinction, it's a way of thinking. Because outside of appraisal, we do this all the time. We know something, we feel it's right, we believe it has a value. But when asked to explain it, to articulate it, and support it, we hesitate. We default to, it just is. But it just is rarely holds up. Not in a negotiation, not in a decision, and not in a moment where something important is at stake. The ability to explain your reasoning, to connect instinct with structure, is what allows value to be understood. And once it's understood, it can be trusted. This week marks the formal launch of the Currencies of Value. Over the past few weeks, I've been building towards this idea, quietly at first, exploring how value is determined, how it shifts depending on the purpose, and how the same object can carry multiple valid numbers all at the same time. Now I want to take it a step deeper, to move beyond the numbers themselves and into how those numbers are built. Not just what something is worth, but how you make that conclusion hold. Because in the end, value is not just something you arrive at, it's something you support. And that requires more than expertise. It requires the ability to make that expertise visible.